Hi guys, welcome back to B and B. With me, William. Right now we are in Depot and we're going to check out a house that's one of the works of Birkaloti called Gandaria House. So the house behind me has a traditional Chinese style architecture. In other words, it's eclectic. Interesting, right? So it's a combination of vintage and modern. And in the context of a tropical climate. So maybe before we go inside, maybe we can talk about the exterior first. So this house faces south at the end of a T intersection. And we can also see, from the materials first, we can see there's textured paint too. But it's not all over. That's what's interesting. From the beginning, it seems like it's meant for this. Yeah. So if it gets splashed by a motorcycle or a car, it's still safe. You can't really see the dirt. But there's also a contrasting mix here with smoother paint finishes. Maybe before we go inside, let's talk about the fence first. The fence also uses hollow steel, so it feels light and also looks smooth. So maybe we can go inside and when we slide it, it's also light. Well. Okay, now we're in the carport. The carport is more or less made of concrete too, with water channels, maybe. So if you want to wash your car, you can do it here too. The water can also flow to the front, more or less. This can fit one car and a few motorcycles and also EM. On the left side of this house is also being used the same material as the facade. So there's a smooth part and there's also a rough part. So this is a seamless transition to the garden area. This is on my left. So this is the terrace, the garden. What's interesting here is that on the right side, that's the grass area. And on the left side, there's a rocky area. So this is the reason. This, because if we look at the details here, the roof, so when wind-driven rain comes in, it doesn't splash. For example, if it's grass, the soil will splash when it's wet. So that's what's interesting here. And also, actually, this house isn't attached to the neighbor, so it's detached. So on the left and right sides, there is surface access. So let's take a look over there. Come here, cameraman. Let's take a look so the viewers can see too. If you look here, this is the service access. Yeah, it's about 60 centimeters or so. If anyone wants to know the technical details, it's usually for passing through, so you can get through like that. All right, if we take a look here, before we go inside, let's also check out the facade of the first floor. This is what's being shown, the traditional Chinese-inspired style from earlier. So there's a jealousy window. Then there are lanterns that give it a vintage look. That's the vintage style. So if you look at this area here, maybe this could also serve as access to the service area, and there's storage here too. Then if we look over here, there's also storage. This is a bicycle storage, so it's enough. Actually, if we look inside later, this is right under the stairs. So making use of the space under the stairs is very effective. Okay, the material is still the same, using hollow steel. Now, let's talk about the foyer. There's also a bench here. It has more of a vintage look too. Then there are tiles used here. This first area is for taking off shoes. I'll take off my shoes first. Okay. Okay, now let's take a look together. Maybe before we go in, let's talk about the appearance. The door first. Yeah, you saw the door earlier. Besides showing its vintage look, you can also see the louvered details here. Very interesting. And behind it, there's also a curtain, so it really shows that vintage vibe. Let's go inside. Okay, now we've entered, and it turns out this is a foyer, another foyer, guys. So it's a combination of foyers. So outside there's a foyer, and there's also one inside. The material is still the same, tiles. So there's a transition, there's a kind of angle here. Now, if you can see, this is the door from earlier, from here. This is the view from inside. Okay, maybe before we go over there, this is the shoe area. So you can take off your shoes here too. And on my left side, there's also storage here. The storage is interesting. The doors are individual. So you can open whichever section you want. That's right. Wow, that's interesting, right? Okay, before we enter the main room, so we can see there's also a transition from the foyer tiles to the living area. Now here we have solid wood. Then we move on to granite tile material. Now this is the living, dining and kitchen area. Let's take a look. Maybe let's start from the kitchen area first. I really like looking at this. The combination of traditional, vintage and modern styles. This might look a bit modern. There's some wood panel material. And what's interesting here is that each one has its own ventilation. So it doesn't get damp. That's what's interesting. And for the backsplash, they use mosaic tiles and the countertop is solid surface. Yeah. In the dining area, the color is still the same. It hasn't been changed. But where does the vintage look come from? From the legs. If you look here. The legs are also really interesting. So this shows the vintage look. Okay, so besides the dining area, there's also a living area here by the TV. The couch is also for family activities. Okay. What I want to mention is this void area. As we saw earlier, when we enter, maybe it feels a bit closed in, a bit dark. But the sense of relief comes from this void. That's something I find really interesting and a detail that's been well thought out. Besides that, there's also the tiling we saw earlier. If you look, the position is neat. The finish is also neat. Maybe this is the difference when it's designed by an architect. So up to here, everything is tidy, nothing is wasted. If you look, see? Okay, now for the lighting, we also have cross ventilation. So to make it feel cool, let me show you. There's a curtain here. Let's open it. Yes, there's an courtyard here. The door can be fully open. Yes, this can be fully open. So it can also make the room feel even more spacious. And also, if the door is open, you can feel the cool breeze coming in, like that. If you don't believe it, there's also a built-in shelf here. But it uses glass. So if it rains or something, you can see the raindrops. In this part, this is the service area I mentioned earlier. This is the service area, the pathway. For the gas used for cooking, it's placed here. You also change it here. So it's efficient. Maybe it's also close to the kitchen. That's important. Also at the back, the material is the same as the facade. So it's a combination of textured plaster and smooth paint as well. And next, over here, we will see the study room. So this is a study with a distinct hierarchy. The material, the flooring is also different. This uses yellow tiles. The pattern also includes green. It blends with the same wood color as well. So this is the study area. So it's for reading, maybe for relaxing, and even here is the same. So it's not closed off, but still there's an opening. So it gets lighting too. This can also be open. Wow. So maybe someone is reading here. Let's try it right here. Read. You can do it right away. For example, if you're reading, you can take a look. Maybe someone is eating, someone is cooking. So still, maybe in terms of space, it's divided for privacy, but visually you can still see. Very interesting. Okay. What else is there? We are being shown around, right? Let's take a look. There's a room here. This? Why not? Huh? Okay. There's a bathroom here. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, this is the bathroom. The color is the same too. It's softer. They also use mosaic tiles. And then these are granite tiles, which probably show the contrast from earlier. They're also rougher, so they won't be slippery. And then over here, we can also see this. Let's take a look. Over here, sir. There's also an opening here, so it's not completely closed. This is really important in a bathroom. So it doesn't get damp, there has to be an opening for light. So this can also be closed. Okay. Okay, next, let's go to the next room. This is the access to the back from earlier, sorry. This hasn't been mentioned yet. Yes, this is the one from earlier. There's also access here. Okay. Okay, next, maybe before we go upstairs, there's a room here. So usually this might be the living room or a kid's room, but actually this is the master bedroom. The door is different from the others. Okay, other people. Excuse me. Okay, here is the master bedroom. Wow, it looks so different now. The atmosphere feels much warmer. It's more private, more romantic, right? Maybe it's because of the lights, the warm lights. And if you look here, the window is different from the others. Earlier when we saw it from outside, we thought there was only one, but actually it's double layered. So there are two. The one in front and the one inside. For what purpose? So actually this room, maybe because it's used for sleeping, right? So it needs AC too. That's why there's an AC here. When the AC is on, you close it. If you don't use the AC, you can open it. Let's try to open it, okay? You can really feel it like 90s. This is the one that hasn't been mentioned yet. So it turns out this is a renovated house. So that tree is an existing tree. So they said, the designer said, the architect said. At first they wanted to cut it down, but in the end they didn't, because when they look at it, it could actually be part of the view for the room. And even later upstairs, you can also see the view of this tree. So it wasn't cut down, that's the reason. Okay, now let's take a look at the bathroom area. Here's the bathroom. The bathroom uses a sliding door. Okay, come here, let's take a look. Now, this one has a different vibe. The vibe is pink. Maybe this is more personalized, yeah? So it's tailored to the mother's taste. So she chose the color. The mosaic tiles are pink, light pink. Same thing, maybe they also use granite tiles, the softer ones. Earlier, the ones over there were darker, right? This is really important, the one from earlier, the opening, this big opening. And the good thing about the house is that it's detached, so we can make use of the light that reflects. And there are also openings, so the light can come in. That's really important. Okay, so let's take a look upstairs. Let's see what rooms are there, okay? Okay, now we're heading to the second floor. So this is the second floor. On the second floor, there are 2 bedrooms. Then there's a storage room. There's also a laundry room. Now let's take a look first. This is the opening from earlier. There's also an opening here. The view goes straight to the existing tree I mentioned earlier. So you can really get a lot of fresh air here. Wow. Okay, so this is the first kids room and this is their second room, but right now it's being used as a workspace. So the owner might have some stuff in here, so we can't go in. And there's also another kids room here. Okay, and over there it's the same as the one downstairs in the studio room. There's also storage here, and the storage, it's not really storage, it's more for books. So all the books are here. And if you look at the design, it's the same too. There's wood and a kind of pastel green. So the details are pretty interesting. Okay, before we go to the last room, let's talk about the void we mentioned earlier. We can see it here. Besides what we mentioned earlier, there's also a sense of openness from the high ceiling. This also creates interaction. So there's interaction between the second floor and the first floor. For the railing, it's the same, using hollow steel. Hollow steel. The top uses solid wood. Okay, this is the same. This is storage. Maybe the door is the same as the one below. Okay, and the next room, let's take a look. Yeah, wow. It's because it was open earlier, so you can really feel the breeze. Now, this is the laundry room area and the gym. Interesting, right? So here, the space is for the gym and for laundry. And also, if we look here, this is for clothes, not for monkey bars or anything like that. You can lower it using this. And there's also a skylight here, so it's brighter. You also get this, so it doesn't get rain on. And on the top, there's a water tank. The access is actually over here. You just open this and put it through here. Interesting, right? And here, there's a ventilation block for air circulation. You can really feel it. The air passes through, so you get it. Where's the cross ventilation? The cross ventilation is over there in that area. Come on, let's check it out. Follow us over here. Here it is. When this is open, so the air can pass through. Yes. Wow, here we can also see the details of the roof. They use maple, so it's thin. It gives a clean look. Maybe we're curious about it, maybe about the technical aspects. How was the design process? Let's just talk directly to the architect. Come on.
The land area is 135 square meters, with the dimensions being 9 meters by 15 meters. The building area is almost the same as the land area, so it's about 134 or so. The design process took about 6 months up to the working drawings. The construction itself took about 10 months, including the demolition of the existing house. Yeah, and that time we also had a chance to, talk. And it turns out the client has quite a lot of stuff. So it turns out their hobby is reading. That's something that really had to be accommodated in the design. In general, what really stands out the most is the style. The owner has a very specific preference. Regarding the facade and the design itself, the reference is more towards traditional Chinese architecture, and it's combined with modern elements. Well, maybe there we also technically add some tropical elements. They're all actually interconnected, where there are many openings that allow natural ventilation to enter the room from all sides. Yes, including with the concept that in context with the environment as well. Yes. So here we also try as much as possible to keep some distance from the neighboring houses. So first, it's for air circulation and also for mitigation in case of fire and other things. With the neighbors in mind, in the front area, if you look at the carport, there is a beam from the neighboring house that we intentionally left there. It's indeed exposed, but we can also interact with the neighbors that way. So it's not closed off. Yes, maybe if we talk about challenges, the first is combining that very specific style with something that's quite general, right? We don't really want to lean too strongly to one side, actually. Yes, maybe in the end, other elements actually emerge, making it kind of eclectic. So there's a mix and match between several different styles. Maybe that's what stands out the most. The second thing is probably because the owner has a hobby of reading and brought a lot of items from their old house. So as much as possible, we try to make the reading areas more spread out. So it's not limited to just one room. So they can use various rooms here for activities. As for the windows and doors themselves, actually in terms of design, there was some research done beforehand. So with the owner, we actually discussed what would work best. So at that time, we provided several design options. And finally, it was decided to go with a design that has some louvered sections. Some parts have glass and some parts are solid as well, all within a single door or window panel. So when we look at it from the video, the window on the front facade actually has two layers. So with the outer layer, if we just want the air to come in, that's possible. If we just want the light to come in, that's also possible. Or if you want it to be completely closed, that's possible too. So you don't need any curtains or anything like that anymore. As for why it's so visible on the building's facade, actually that's because of technical reasons. Because it's for ventilation, so more air can come in. So it also gives a very tropical impression. Now, at the entrance door, there are also louvers at the bottom that allows air to come in and it creates cross ventilation through to the back area. Now, for this back area, everything can be opened up to because the doors are folding doors. So the house really feels like it's breathing. Well, actually, if you call it a renovation, almost every part here was demolished or destroyed. What's unique is, as you might have seen, the tree in front was preserved. At first, it was going to be removed and destroyed as well, but it was left alone while construction was underway. And it turned out to match the building, so we kept it. As for the budget, it's just an estimate, maybe around 900 million to 1 billion for the back area. That was in 2024. You can check on Instagram, maybe at Birkaloci. There's a link there as well.